Welcome everyone to another episode of the Femme Marketing Symposium. Okay, I'm doing a lot of these interviews. I have the lovely, the only Galit out there. Welcome, Galit. How are you?
Hi, Angela. I just love our energy together. We're so much fun. Thank you for having me as part of this.
Well, everyone, so we have to share with you before we dive into this. I have to share how amazing Galit is, right? So, and I'm so familiar with her. I guess I should have said her last name, Ventura Rozen, right? Right? So, Galit had reached out to me a few months ago and asked me to be on her summit, and I, of course, gladly accepted. And we got on, and so the roles were reversed. She was interviewing me. And she's like, where are you located? And I'm like, I live in Vegas. And she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she lives in Vegas too. So we've gotten to be not only friends online, but friends offline, and actually become doing some business together, but truly becoming close friends. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, it's so much fun how sometimes some small choice, which I didn't even know who you were, and then I reached out because of your expertise in marketing and I wanted you as part of my summit. And then it just skyrockets into all these amazing opportunities. So it's just neat how when you take one little opportunity, it turns into so much fun.
It's so true. So today, Galit is going to teach us how to use public speaking to attract your ideal client. But before we dive in, Galit, I would love for you to tell the viewers your story. Like, how did you get into this business? Tell us how the whole thing came about. I'd love for you to share. I don't want to read your bio. I want you to share.
Absolutely. Well, I have been an entrepreneur for over 20 years in Las Vegas with building multiple businesses from the ground up, as well as owning multiple businesses myself. And I wanted to serve more. And I felt like women were kind of like my cup of tea, because of course I get them the most. And I felt like as I'm entering the public speaking paid forum myself, and I work with women that are looking to kind of like transform into public speakers, I found that there was a need for business owners, because I'm also a business mentor, to learn how to market themselves through speaking as the expert in their area to attract the ideal client. So that's pretty much how I fell into this and why I decided that it was a perfect topic to use in marketing, since your symposium is all about marketing.
Well, exactly. So if you were to have someone brand new at public speaking or thinking about doing public speaking, because I know there's so many women on here that are going to be watching this that have heard, yeah, if I become a public speaker, I could get out there and become more visible, but they don't really know, well, how does that translate into attracting your ideal client, right? So what would you tell them? How does public speaking translate into attracting an ideal client?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, there's the paid public speaker, and then there's the promotional public speaker. So we want to just for 2 seconds recognize the paid one is corporations, companies, conventions, businesses are hiring you to speak on a very specific topic. You are not allowed to sell yourself, and you just get up on stage and speak about that topic and you get your check. What we're talking about here is really promotional. And promotional is you would go out into your community. You would find like-minded networking organizations, businesses that can benefit from your expertise. So for example, if you're a marketing expert like Angela, and we're going to get her on stage soon, right? If you're a marketing expert like Angela, there's a need for that out there. So you would go around, Angela, and you would start searching organizations that would ask you to speak, and you wouldn't charge, but in turn you would say to them, since I'm not charging you, I want to be able to sell myself in a sense. So you set yourself up as the expert, you talk about what it is that you know, and then now the audience turns into your ideal client. And of course you want to make sure that you're booking speaking engagements in front of your ideal client. And then basically you're already talking to those people about what you do and what you do well.
And I love that, Galit. And I love how Galit always pushes me out, right? Because I've been, I hadn't done any public speaking for years. And then I went and did a workshop with Galit and I was nervous. I'm like, I haven't done this for so long. So it was fun. And then we went to an event here in Las Vegas, and she's right. You just put yourself out there. We met a lady, and I booked a speaking gig. Right? That's how easy it is. Right? It's just putting yourself out there. Of course, you do need the expertise of a beautiful, amazing coach like Galit who can teach you and guide you along the path, because there are, some steps to it that are really important. So can you share with us, like, maybe the first two steps someone would take to get speaking engagements, like more like detailed, what they could possibly do?
Absolutely. So Google is my best friend. So the
Oh,
first thing that I think you should do is, do you want to speak in your community? And I always say start in your community, because a lot of times people already know your expertise in your community if you are working locally. If you're working nationally, it's a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a second. But what you want to do is start searching associations, organizations, businesses. For example, let's say you are in real estate. Well, you immediately start searching any associations or organizations in your town that are associated with real estate, because you want to contact them through their websites. And most organizations will have a link through their website for potential speakers, or they'll have information that is related to the person that handles booking the speakers. And you'll want to fill out that information and reach out to them. That's the first step. Backing up, what you want to do before you go ahead and reach out to them is you want to make sure you've got at least 3 topics that you can offer them in your expertise that would be associated with that organization, because you want it to be related. If you're going to talk about how to build pools at a real estate conference, it's not going to work, right?
right. Hello.
Right? Maybe how to sell houses with pools. But you want to make sure you've got those topics, and you want to make sure that you're ready to reach out. Once you reach out, a lot of times they'll reach back out. And what they're going to do next, and this is the second piece, which we all know, you've got to have your branding in place. Do you have a website? Can you send them to your website? Do you have some social media so they can see who you are? What kind of ideal clients that you attract? Do you want them to be able to find your credibility easily? Because what do most people do when they want to check somebody out is they go to Google. So please do me a favor, Google yourself, see what's out there. And if something's not coming up, put something out there that will.
Very true.
Yeah, those are the first 2 steps. Go out and find like-minded organizations that are associated with your ideal client, your expertise, and then make sure you have your branding in place so when they research you, they can go ahead and reach out and book you.
Well, and that's super important. So say they book something, what would they cover in their talk? If you're brand new at this, or even if you thought you put together a talk and it might not go so well for you the first few times you do it, do you have any suggestions on that?
Absolutely. So the free gift that I'm going to be giving today,
okay,
Angela's Summit, is going to be 5 musts for your promotional speaking engagement. And it's actually a video with a PowerPoint, and it's going to show you the 5 things you want to make sure from beginning to the end to include, not just through your talk, but handouts and so on. But speaking about what you asked me in specific, you want to make sure that in your specific talk, you are giving those people value. You do not want to go up there and sell yourself. Nobody wants to hear that. That's why it's important that you have those 3 expert topics. You send them out to the person that will potentially book you. Have them pick one that resonates the most with their audience. So at least it gives them some choice, because what we don't want to see is you send only one and they're like, oh, we're not interested. And then you lose the opportunity. So that's why I suggest 3. Once they pick one, you want to make sure you put together a PowerPoint that's professional. You want to make sure that you write out your topics and your bullet points. So that way, when you get up there, you're not reading from a paper, you're looking at a bullet point on the PowerPoint to be more natural and speak and engage. So value is really what you want to have. and you want to make sure that you're giving them some form of expertise with even some very logical actions, because you want them to walk away with something that they can tangibly do.
So what happens, just for fun, if they are up there speaking and all of a sudden they freeze? What do you do?
Oh, the person that goes up. So it's interesting because I work with people that are wanting to get on stage as well as paid speakers. And what we go through for the fear piece of it is I just ask them to find 2 or 3 people in the audience that they connect with. And the way that I ask them to do that, show up before you speak, network with the people, get to know them, talk to them, have conversations associated with what you're going to talk to. First and foremost, you can go ahead and take those conversations and plug them into your presentation, which now makes it personable. And second of all, now you have 2 or 3 people to look at while you're speaking, met and connected with. And that in itself makes all the world of difference, because now you're not looking at 60 or 70 people and going, oh my gosh. And then the logical thing that I'm going to tell you do is if you freeze, take a deep breath and recognize one thing. Humor always works in speaking engagements. Make a joke out of it. Anytime I mess up because I'm human, anytime the slide doesn't change, anytime my PowerPoint happens to be missing a word, I make a joke out of it. People love humor. So that will be a really good way to get past it too.
Well, and I think that I love your advice instead of imagining everybody in their underwear, because I think that would be so like, oh my God, I'm so petrified. I can't even imagine them in their underwear. So I like that. You know, I remember the first time I had to go in front of a bunch of people. I was in junior high, right? So it was an honor society, like awards or something. So they called my name. I had a skirt on with this, it was back in the 80s or whatever. They had this little, or early 90s, I don't remember, late 80s, right? I had this little shell thing on, this long skirt. So I'm like, woohoo, my like Coke glasses, walking up the steps, and there was a cord and I trip, and my dress, my skirt flies up. You can see my underwear, and I was horrified, right? And I remember standing there thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go to school the next day and all these people are going to laugh at me. Nobody said anything. And I realized then and there that if I could go through that, I could get up and talk about anything, right?
Yes.
So that's what I use. That's my little thing, but that's just my experience. So yeah, so if I can do it, you can do it.
Yes, and it's really about the way that you react to it. So you have to recognize that I can't tell you how many times I've spoken and then all of a sudden the slide is stretched out and my face is like this, and I go, oh, that's not a good picture of me. And I make jokes out of things. That's my thing. I'm not saying it's for who's watching, but humor always tends to break the ice. I usually start my speaking with humor, because now I've gotten the audience laughing for something that I said, and now all of a sudden all the tension in the room breaks. So I always suggest humor if it's in your personality. I want it to be natural. I don't want you to make yourself be funny if that's not in your nature, but maybe there's a funny fact you can share or something like that that would be interesting to them.
So Galit, the other question I have for you is, so you know, you touched a little bit upon it, but what kind of offer should you make, and when should you make an offer in your speech? I think that that's really important, because I think some people make them in not the right place. I've been in some of those auditoriums. Yeah.
So first and foremost, you have to recognize that you want to hit a place of credibility with these people. You want to connect, you want to engage. They don't know who you are. It's possible they've never heard of you. Possible they have. All they read was the bio that was on the website to sign up to come to this event that they probably come to already every month. And you just happen to be the speaker this month. All right. So they're not coming always to see you. Sometimes they're coming because they're committed to this organization. So first think of that. So what I would suggest that you do is I want you to recognize that talk, give them value, connect, ask questions, have them ask questions. But as you're doing this, feed in client stories. My client, this, how to break through that. I want you to subliminally, in a sense, start feeding them your expertise before you give them the offer. It's really neat how you can do that so naturally. So feed in at least, I would say 2 to 3 client stories and make them very short and very to the point, associated with whatever you're speaking about. If you're talking about success, I had this client that never believed they could succeed, and then they accomplished this. You're giving yourself credibility.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, I think every PowerPoint, the last slide should have an offer. So I want you to actually have it on your PowerPoint. The last slide will either have your upcoming workshop, your upcoming event, your upcoming speaking engagement, where they can get a hold of you, how they can talk to you for free. And I also suggest maybe giving something away. That in itself will allow them to continue to engage with you or to look you up right there. Sometimes people will say, so you can connect with me right now on Facebook, grab your phones, and do da-da-da-da. And anybody that likes my post right now, the first 5 people will do this. But you don't have to do that. It's just some people like to do that because it's very natural. But I definitely suggest making the offer at the end and then making sure you stay. Don't leave. Wait till the president usually goes up there of the organization, talks about future events. People will engage with you. Stay. Get there early, network, stay after you speak, and then you will find that people will come up to you and start engaging with you.
I really like that. That's a really good point, because I know where I've been in organizations, the speaker will leave right after they speak. They lose that.
A lot of opportunity there.
That's really true. So how would you know, so if you were starting this, how would you know that even if you book some speaking engagements, and how would you know they're in the right place? Like, how would you know it's the right demographic, right? I mean, I think that's super important.
Sure. So today it's really easy to find information about organizations. There's always a Facebook group for that organization. I suggest that you go to that organization's Facebook group or LinkedIn group and you look at the type of members that are in there. So for example, I'm going to use the pool thing just for fun. If you're going to talk about pools and you want to talk to general contractors, right?
Okay.
And
pool boys, right?
Right? Pool, well, let's say building pools.
Okay.
Let's use this example. Let's say you're a pool company that builds pools.
Okay.
To get in front of general contractors. Well, you can go to that organization's website and you can see through Facebook or LinkedIn who their members are. Are these general contractors? Are these the decision makers?
Mm-hmm.
Going to be the ones that are your ideal clients. So my suggestion really is research and homework before you reach out to them. Because once you reach out, you've committed if they ask you to speak.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And so I've heard, Galit, I have a question for you, that, if you were looking to speak, you should look to speak at least 2 times a month in your local area, right? Is that the right number? I just heard that the other day.
So I don't know of a number. I haven't looked up research or heard anything like that. I think that would be specifically related to the business and the business owner first and foremost. If you like speaking, why not do it more?
Right.
Also recognize there's prep work. There's a PowerPoint. There's a topic. There's handouts. It takes time. But for me, I think of it as free marketing, because the only thing that you're spending is your time. And yes, your time is valuable, and you should know how much your time is worth an hour. So if you're getting paid $150 an hour and you're spending 5 hours between prepping and speaking, you want to calculate, because at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Did that make sense to spend that much of your time and value? And did it translate to ideal clients' contact income? So I don't believe there's a number. It could be 2. I think it's really about you and how much you want to be the expertise in your area, in your community, and do you really love talking in front of people? Because you have to want to do it and you have to love it. Not everybody does.
So I have one last question for you, and I think this is really important. One of the things that I have heard, especially if you're a speaker in a niche kind of thing, right? That you could create what they call a speaker posse, right? Can you elaborate more what that means?
So do you mean a speaker posse like a tribe, Angela?
What I mean is like other speakers that you could, sorry, I should have clarified that.
That's okay.
you know how I am. I sometimes say and how my brain going so
I
fast.
think I'm reading your mind.
I know, huh? A speaker posse, as in like you might have 10 people in there that are all speakers
Yes,
and you refer each other to each other's stages and other people.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we spoke about being an expert in your community.
Mm-hmm.
So there are speakers associations that are not expensive to be parts of. A lot of them are public paid speakers, but some of them are also marketing. So I would look into that. Now, if you're okay traveling, that is a second piece. So there are places just like Facebook where you can go and find speakers groups, become part of them. And then what Angela's talking about is, let's just say 10 of you decide that every time somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, Angela, would you talk about Facebook and how to get clients? And you say, yeah, but I also know Galit. She can talk about how to get ideal clients through marketing. And then they talk to me and I say, yeah, but I know someone that can X, Y, Z. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
And you can do that locally or nationally. It doesn't just have to be local today, because there are people through these speakers associations and speakers groups that want to connect with you because they want your connections. So for example, a woman in Sacramento reached out to me and said, I'd love to speak in Vegas. I said, no problem. I'll connect you with 2 or 3 people that I know. And then if I'm interested in Sacramento, I could reach out to her and get her contacts.
I love that.
Absolutely. I think the key of what you were trying to say, Ange, is that people are not competing with you. There are enough places to speak. There's enough business out there for everybody that you could actually help and connect each other.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. It's all about giving and sharing.
Yes.
So I do have one last question. You know how
Sure.
I'm thankful for that too, right? If there was one thing, because I'm the queen of impact, right? Like if someone, and you've shared so many amazing things, Galit, as always, you know I love you because you're so great at that. You're such a
You're
giver.
wonderful.
You're a radical giver, right? Like my coach says, radically giving.
Right?
Thing, right? If there's one thing that someone could take away today and go put in their business right now, like they get done watching this interview and they're like, okay, I'm going to go do that right now, what would that one thing be?
So associated with becoming an expert in your field through public speaking, the first thing that I would say to them, and this is something that people do not usually know and do not do because they think it's natural, is I would say make a list of the things you're an expert at.
Ooh.
List. And then people don't do that because we don't recognize sometimes that we're natural experts at the things we're experts at. If I share with you and you share with me, we wow each other. We're like, oh my gosh, you're so good. Oh my gosh. Angela's like, oh, Galit, you're so this. And I go, Angela, you're so with that. And we don't realize it because it's our natural.
Right.
So the first thing I would say before you venture off into this is make a list of everything you're an expert at and everything you have the potential to speak about, and see how it resonates with you, because you want to have a few topics that you keep repurposing. You don't have to have 50 talks unless you want to speak 50 times at the same organization. You can have 2 or 3 and just keep recycling.
Right. I love that. Galit, thank you so much. It's been an honor to have you. So can you share with us one more time what your free gift is so that they can download it, because the link will be here below the video. So
absolutely. So I want to make sure that the viewers know what they should include in every talk. And I don't mean just the topic. I mean, I go over the 5 things that you should have from the second that you book the speaking engagement through when it's over and what you should do. And I go through that in great detail in a video. So you get the PowerPoint and you get to hear me speak about the 5 musts that you should have at every promotional speaking engagement that you're trying to attract your ideal client.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Galit. And you know, because I just love sharing you, can you tell women where they can find you if they're looking to connect with you further about public speaking?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook at Galit Ventura Rozen, and it's Galit, which you'll see in the email. And you can also find me on my website at Galit, Galit, empowering, the letter U.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ange. This is fun.
It was my pleasure. And everyone, beautiful Femme, stay tuned for our next interview. Have an incredible, blessed day.